Hey, this is Dave Schweder with Entrust Facility Services, and I just wanted to make a quick video. I'm going to make a few of them about some cleaning hacks and why they're important. I was down in Houston recently, and I was walking into a big multi-tenant office building, and as I walked in, they had these two big powdered metal columns on either side, and someone had removed a sign from one of them, and there'd obviously been some tape. They'd put a sign up with tape, and they actually used a metal scraper to scrape off the tape, and it was dreadful. It really looked horrible, and there's no way of fixing that unless you replace that whole jacket on that column. So I just wanted to spend just a quick moment, because there's sometimes things like tape, gummy substances that we get in a hurry to get off, as like you might have, for example, on a powdered metal windowsill. You've got some old tape stuck on there, and you're tempted to make a quick job of it by getting a metal scraper, only to find out that you scraped the metal and then you can't undo that. So I want to mention quickly two things that you can do to make sure that if you're going to clean something off, that you do it in a nice, peaceful sort of way. And the first one is pick the tool that you're going to scrape things off with. Now, if you go into a kitchen supply company, you'll notice that they have different kinds of pot scrubbers, and often pot scrubbers are made out of copper. Why is that? It's because copper is softer than stainless steel. So if you use a copper pot scrubber, you won't scrape your stainless steel pan. You keep them looking good. Whereas if you use something that's as hard as your pan, you will scrape it, and you can't undo that. So the first thing is to pick something that is softer than what you're scraping. Now, glass, for example, some types of glass, hardened glass, tempered glass, you can use a razor on it. However, if you have leaded glass or decorative glass, that will scratch very easily with a razor. And one way to tell if you have that kind of glass is when you look at it through an angle. If you see any sort of rainbow activity, you see little rainbow patterns inside the glass, then it's usually a leaded or decorative glass. It's very, very soft, so you have to be careful. So things like plastic scrapers, plastic sponges, copper scrubbers for steelware, this sort of thing is very, very important to consider. The second, which is often overlooked, is the chemical that we use to remove something. And today I just want to talk about gummy tape residue. When I was a little boy, my grandmother would can jams. And growing up, I have the same hobby. And I discovered that when you peel off the label on the jam, there's often that gum left on the glass. And we want a nice job, so we want to remove that gum. And what removes the gum, whether it's on a window, whether it's on a piece of metal, is WD-40. Good old WD-40. Now, WD-40 works. Actually, what WD-40 is, it's a fish oil with a surfactant agent in it. What that means is that fish oil is a very, very high quality lubricant, and it has a detergent or a surfactant in it that breaks up the oil, so it allows it to penetrate under stains and under gums. So when we use something like WD-40, and trust me, it's a miracle thing. Now, you can even, I don't know if you've heard the old saying, like sometimes people have like tennis elbow, and they'll put it on their elbow and it works. Actually, it does work if you try it, because it's basically fish oil and a penetrative agent. It actually works. I've used it before. I wouldn't recommend it medically. I don't know what it does to your liver, but it works. However, if you're going to clean something, let's say that you're in your office and someone had tape on the glass and it's driving you nuts, and you've peeled off as much as you could, and yet there's still that scummy bit there. What you want to do is get a nice soft, like a plastic scrubber, and a little WD-40, and the trick to it is give it time to work. Give it time to work. Oftentimes it takes a penetrative like WD-40 a little while to get underneath the surface of what you're trying to clean. So if you spray it on and you got your scrubby, you don't need to go at it like, hammer and tongs. You could just gently work that in there. Just gently, maybe count to 10. And what you'll notice, you might even just want to leave it for a few minutes because it's not going to evaporate. Just leave it and just work it on that surface gently. And what will happen is after a few minutes, it will all start to come off. And this works for paint overspray on your car. This works for, like I said, tape, gum on glass, things like that. Good old WD-40 gets underneath and it lifts things off. So I hope that this is informative to you, and I'll make another video with a few other hacks about removing things like paint and stains like that. But basically what you want to do is whenever we remove something from a surface that we don't want to damage, we want to make sure A, that we're using something that is softer than that surface, and B, we're using the right cleaner so that, and we give it time to work. If you saw another video of mine, we talked about washing your hands with soap, and it takes 20 seconds. It takes time for the soap to actually grab onto the fats on your hand and remove them. And if you've ever done this, you know, when you've had a stain or something baked into a pan and you let it soak in a little soapy water, it's the same thing. That soap actually is causing a chemical reaction in that pan and is slowly lifting those fats that are baked onto the surface of the pan away, so it actually works. You leave that soaking for an hour or two, you take it, and then you find it much easier to clean. The same is true when we try to remove a stain from a building or glass. So, nice Friday afternoon. I hope this is informative, and I will talk at you again later. Take care.